Hello, everyone. I'm here to let you know that the so-called African American or Black American, who are the descendants of slaves, are yes, indeed, the chosen people of the Bible. And yes, God, the creator of the universe, does have a chosen people. Then Moses and the priests, the Levites, spoke to all Israel, saying, "Take heed and listen, O Israel. This day you have become the people of the Most High." The chosen people of the Bible are the Hebrew Israelites. But who are the Hebrew Israelites today? A major way we are able to identify who the true Hebrew Israelites are today is through the blessings and curses that Moses is listing in Deuteronomy 28. Moses warns that if you break God's laws, these are the things that are going to happen to you. Who exactly do these blessings and curses pertain to? We first have to look at exactly who Moses was talking to. We see in Deuteronomy chapter 4 that Moses commands obedience from the Israelites, saying, "Now, O Israel, listen to the statutes and the judgments which I teach you to observe, that you may live and go in and possess the land which the Most High of your fathers is giving you." Moses even let them know to be careful to observe them. Skip down to verse 44. Now this is the law which Moses set before the children of Israel. So now we officially know that Moses is talking to a particular group of people, and those people are the children of Israel. Therefore, the blessings and curses that are listed in Deuteronomy 28 only pertains to the children of Israel. And they were to obey this law, as we read in Deuteronomy 27:1. Now Moses with the elders of Israel commanded the people, saying, "Keep all the commandments which I command you today." And the Israelites had to write all the words of this law on large stones. Verse 9. Then Moses and the priests, the Levites, spoke to all Israel, saying, "Take heed and listen, O Israel. This day you have become the people of the Most High your God," as we previously read, to show that the Most High does indeed have a chosen people. "Therefore you shall obey the voice of the Most High your God, and observe his commandments and his statutes which I command you today." We see that Moses is talking about Israel, because on this day the Israelites became the people of the Most High. They were instructed to keep the Most High's laws, his statutes, and his commandments. So when Moses is listing the blessings and curses in Deuteronomy 28, he is listing the blessings and curses for the children of Israel. Now there were two sides to things. If the Israelites kept the law, they would be blessed and set high above all nations. Now, if they did not keep the law and do all of the things that were commanded of them in the law, then they would be cursed. Now it shall come to pass, if you diligently obey the voice of the Most High your God, to observe carefully all his commandments which I command you today, that the Elohim your God will set you high above all nations of the earth. Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if you do not obey the voice of the Most High your God, to observe carefully all his commandments and his statutes which I command you today, that all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. What do you think the Israelites chose to do? Do you think the Israelites today are keeping the Most High's commandments to be blessed? Or are they breaking his commandments and his statutes to be cursed? It don't matter where they live or where they choose to go. Verse 16 says, "Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the country." Verse 17, cursed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Talking about the prophets. How many black Americans have tried to start businesses and failed miserably at it? Businesses are already hard to succeed at, but you see far fewer successful black entrepreneurs. And our own people don't even want to support black businesses. They get $1 and give it back to the white man instead of investing it into their own community. Also, poverty rates are higher in black communities. Cursed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. 19. Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you go out. In other words, our ancestors were born a slave, and they are going to die a slave. We were born not knowing who we are. We will die not knowing who we are. Verse 21. The Most High will make the plague cling to you until he has consumed you from the land which you are going to possess. Heart disease, breast cancer, cervical cancer, fibroids, premature delivery, sickle cell disease, and even sexually transmitted diseases affect black women at disproportionately higher rates than other races. Our people are more prone to also experience mental health issues than white races. Diabetes is 60% more common in black Americans than in white Americans, and blacks is up to 5.6 times more likely to suffer kidney disease than other races with diabetes. Strokes kill 4 times more black Americans than white Americans, and blacks is nearly twice more likely to have a stroke for the first time than whites. Black men are more likely to die from cancer than white men. Despite lower tobacco exposure, black men are 50% more likely to get lung cancer than white men. Now you kind of have to ask, why is that? Well, Deuteronomy 28:21 says that the plague will cling to you. Verse 22 says, the Most High will strike you with the sword until you perish. Our people are getting gunned down in the streets. Black on black crime, white on black crime, and even by the hands of cops at disproportionate rates, those who vow to serve and protect. Verse 23. And your heavens which are over your head shall be bronze, and the earth which is under you shall be iron. The runaway slaves who the so-called African American descended from had brass bells over their heads and iron shackles on their ankles. 25. The Most High will cause you to be defeated before your enemies. You shall go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them. And you shall become troublesome to all the kingdoms of the earth. The black man is looked at as the lowest of the low. They have figured out a way to criminalize us without ever having even committed a crime. We also went through the transatlantic slave trade and the sub-Sahara slave trade, which took us all over the globe to make sure we never united as a nation again. Psalms 83:4. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Verse 32 says, your sons and your daughters shall be given to another people, and your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all day long. And there shall be no strength in your hand. Didn't this happen with the transatlantic slave trade? Not every last Hebrew was taken onto these slave ships, so I assume that there were sons taken, daughters taken, and they were given to another people, and their parents would forever be saddened as they would never see their children again. Also, while in slavery in America, families were being split up. Mothers and daughters and sons separated from each other that they may grieve for them all day long. Verse 33. A nation whom you have not known shall eat the fruit of your land and the produce of your labor, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed continually. We worked those plantations and received nothing to very little for our hard labor, and all we got in return was oppression. So you shall be driven mad because of the sight which your eyes see. Well, we already discussed how blacks are more likely to suffer mental illness, and with all the social injustice, go figure. The Most High will bring you and the king whom you set over you to a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known. And there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone. So-called African Americans were brought over here, and they gave us their Christian religion, and another big religion our people are in is Islam. That's your wood for Christianity, the cross, and your stone for Islam, the Mecca, Kaaba, and the Dome of the Rock. Verse 37. And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations where the Most High will drive you. Before you were calling yourself black and African American, you were calling yourself an Israelite. They call us Negro, nigger. Our people will even call each other a nigga, and those are all proverbs and bywords. The slave masters changed the names of the slaves. They could no longer go by or name their children Hebrew names, and we were forced to take on the last names of our slave masters, still to this day. Anything that is referring to you by something other than what you originally were or came from is a byword. Verse 41. You shall beget sons and daughters, but they shall not be yours, for they shall go into captivity. Many were born slaves. Verse 43. The alien who is among you shall rise higher and higher above you, and you shall come down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. The black man is definitely the tail here in America. All other ethnicities here in America are rising higher and higher above the black man, and the black man seems to keep being brought down lower and lower. Now, I'm not saying all other ethnicities outside of white has it easier, for it is clear that the white man is on top of all ethnicities, but the black man seems to be the biggest astonishment, as we read in verse 37. Verse 45 and 46 says that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee because you did not obey the voice of the Most High. And they shall be a sign and a wonder to identify who the Israelites are for all time. Who better fits all of these things and curses? Surely we just went through many of them and saw how the so-called African American fits these things. For it was placed on the Israelites and on their descendants forever, if they did not obey the Most High and keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. Now let me ask you a question. Is the so-called black American keeping the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments today, so that these curses shall no longer pursue them and overtake them? Verse 48. Therefore you shall serve your enemies, whom the Most High will send against you, in hunger, in thirst, in nakedness, and in need of everything. So the Most High is saying, you will have to go to your enemies for food, for drink, for clothing, and for everything that you need. Once again, the black man is not on top. The white man is the one owning the majority of corporations, industries, farms, shopping centers, and retail department stores. The white man is the one that kidnapped us. He is the enemy that the scripture is referring to. That's another way to serve your enemies. Whenever you get a paycheck, it goes directly back to him. 49. The Most High will bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies. A nation whose language you will not understand. A nation of fierce countenance, which does not respect the elderly nor show favor to the young. No matter if you were a kid or an adult, you were going to work those plantations. How many black slave babies were being fed to the alligators? 62. You shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of heaven in multitude, because you would not obey the voice of the Most High your God. Verse 66 says, you shall fear day and night. There are a lot of black Americans who fear for their lives and don't even feel safe by the people who have vowed to serve and protect. And 67 says, we are going to wonder when it will end. Verse 68. And the Most High will take you back to Egypt in ships, by the way of which I said to you, you shall never see it again. And there you shall be offered for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you. Egypt here is symbolic to bondage, as we read in Exodus 22. And when it says no one will buy you, it is saying no one will redeem you. The Hebrew word for buy is redeem. The so-called African American came to America by way of ships. And yes, indeed, we are still here in the land of our captivity, yet to be redeemed. Martin Luther King couldn't redeem us. Malcolm X couldn't redeem us. The only one who is able to redeem us is our Messiah and Savior, Yahusha, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. This is what needs to happen first if we want that redemption. Deuteronomy 30:1-2. Now it shall come to pass, when all these things come upon you, the blessing and the curse which I have set before you, and you call them to mind among all the nations where the Most High your God drives you, and you return to the Most High your God and obey his voice, according to all that I command you today, you and your children, with all your heart and with all your soul, that the Most High your God will bring you back from captivity and have compassion on you, and gather you again from all the nations where the Most High your God has scattered you.